All right, guys, welcome back. So I'm sure you've heard in a couple other videos, this is my third go at recording this. I don't have editing software. I do this off the cuff with my phone, all in one take. I've been sick. The two attempts I tried to record this specific review, I don't know why, because this one takes so much longer. I don't know why it had to happen here, but I was just, just too many disgusting ass noises coming out of my body. And I'm not gonna make you guys endure all that. So here we go at my third go around, and hopefully I don't hack up my lung. I have a lot to say about these guys. I know I probably said this in my Omega Red War Machine 2-pack review. I've never played this game. I wasn't into Street Fighter style games, but I do love both of these designs, and I think this is one of the best Captain Americas they've ever put out. I do have some problems with him, mainly with that shield. I hope you guys also hate the shield, because I'm going to rant about it for a second here in a few. And then I do love this Venom. I love the mold. I love the colorway. You know, Blue Venom's not my favorite, but I definitely think he has a place in the collection, especially if you have a Venom symbiote heavy section. I feel like this guy needs representation. Blue lives. Blue Venom needs love too. Blue Venom matters. But I got some stuff to say about this guy though. And if the issue I'm having is as common, you probably already know the problem with this guy. So I'm gonna get what I consider to be the better figure out of the way first. But first, I'm gonna do the accessories for both of them. So, man, I am just not prepared. I got a giant unorganized thing of accessories. So I am missing, I'm not missing, I just forgot to bring it out, and it's going to be noisy trying to find it. But there should be another fist here, so forgive me. But Venom comes with two of these, and they got the, basic swivel there. They can twist on the arm there. It's painted quite nicely, although there is a smudge there, if it would focus. Small, slight smudge of blue peeking out there, but other than that, he does have that rectangular shape on the back of the fist there. And then he also comes with this head sculpt, which is awesome. I can't remember, like, we've seen this style before, like this effect. I don't know if this is a newly sculpted version of it, because there's been so many, and this is kind of at this point an iconic thing that Venom does, obviously. So I couldn't tell you if this is a reuse or not, but the photo reel on Eddie Brock is awesome, and then Venom is really cool. The jaw unhinging there, coming down, you get the gum line around it, the tongue, I'm not even on the camera, my bad. Tongue coming out there, you got some goopy hooks coming around there, and then the eye is sculpted in there. And since it's like still forming around him, there's a lot of wrinkles there, as if it hasn't fully stretched across his head, which I think is an awesome detail. Teeth are painted nicely on Eddie. Eye looks phenomenal. Just an awesome head sculpt. I'm probably not going to use that on this Venom, which is a shame because this is an awesome Venom. But depending on how many Venoms I get, which will probably be a lot because it's Venom, I could see myself repainting this black and sticking it on another Venom. You know, maybe if I have two Venoms, they're super similar, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. Just paint this black and call it a day. Super easy custom to do. But we'll see, that's down the road. Other than that, that's awesome. Captain America comes with two red thumbs up hands for either side that hinge up and down. These are cool, but I feel like they don't match either one of his head sculpts. You know, he's either gonna give you a thumbs up as if he could care less that he's here, or he's gonna give you a head sculpt, or a heads up, my goodness, a thumbs up with this head sculpt, which is just like he's either like drunk and just lost in the sauce, or like that just doesn't, I don't know. That just looks so goofy to me, but that is the other head sculpt. It looks fine. I do enjoy having a neutral head sculpt and an action head sculpt. but it just looks a little bit goofy to me. On both head sculpts, though, the A is sculpted. It's raised and painted. And then these wing pieces are a separate piece, but they're on there very evenly. The other head sculpt I have on here, it's a little bit crooked, slightly, but it's fine. And then finally, he also, he comes with the shield too, but he's holding that. We'll get to that thing. But the cool thing about the shield is it does come with this effect, which usually power effects end up in the bin for me. I don't do much with them, although I appreciate it's here. And I don't think we've seen this before, but it just snaps over like that. And I'm not going to fully snap it on, and you probably know why. But you can still see the shield through it. You can get him doing a dash attack. It's super cool. I appreciate this. I probably won't use it much, but if I wanted to, I'm glad that it's here. Super cool effect piece. Yeah, so that's the accessories out of the way. Let's go over Captain America here. So paint apps look fine. For the most part, everything is molded in this blue. Boot cuffs are a separate piece. Actually, separate piece from the leg, but it also extends down to this part too. So bottom, everything past here is separate piece. This is an overlay, this belt there. Kind of got that V cut in the glove section there. That's a separate piece. And yeah, and then this section here, well, this section is molded in white with the red paint. I'm trying to, yeah, and then the top is molded in blue, and then it's white paint and red paint. Face sculpt is nice. You got the ears poking out there. Is this, yeah, so the red is raised and sculpted as well. Trying to think. I love the belt, but the more I look at it, the more I realize it makes no sense. But whatever. And then, you know, he's super musculature. You got some nice wrinkles in this area. Super jacked. Built like an absolute unit of a man. Looks fine. And then the thing that surprised me is the star. It's raised, it's sculpted, and it's painted. I thought it was just gonna be painted on, but it is raised and sculpted on both sides, which is cool. So yeah, and the blue is just beautiful. Both of these figures have a beautiful blue, but this blue specifically is just, it's just awesome. It's super vibrant. So I guess I'll get into articulation now. So the head is on a disc hinge. You can get not a whole lot of tilt, to be honest. It looks down that much, which isn't a whole lot, but you know, considering he has an absolute unit of a chest, it's all right. I can go all the way around. This feels, it's like loose, but it's not. It feels loose moving it, but it stays wherever I put it, which is weird. It looks up that much, which is pretty good. Oh, what if they gave us, man, I get on camera and my IQ drops by 300 points. The guy who made Deadpool, who couldn't draw, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? With the disaster of a, you know, the artwork where the chest just doesn't make sense. They should give us that. That would be awesome. I'll remember that guy's name as soon as I click the end record button. But there's the butterfly joint that goes forward pretty much. You know, it's decent. Goes much further back though, which is cool. And there's some sculpted musculature in that area, as well as on the back there. I love a good butterfly joint. You got upper bicep swivel, which works fine. You can kind of get caught on this section here, so you make sure it goes up. Double jointed pinless arms. Probably gonna get caught on this boot or this, dude. The glove cuff. In every single one of these videos, I'm pretty sure I call an elbow a shoulder, or an elbow a knee, or a knee and elbow. I don't know what it is about the camera being on. Also, my previous review of Omega Red, I was calling the harness the whole time. I was calling it a harnessed. I know it's not called a harnessed. I've never said harnessed in my life. There's just something about clicking this record button and my brain goes to muck. So I know anatomy, I know words. I don't know how this happens, but yeah, that's a separate piece here. And then you have the hands coming out there that hinge up and down and swivel, and the arm itself can go up past 90, so that's awesome. He moves super well. I'm gonna be careful of this shield, which I will get to. Upper torso has a hinge that goes down there, goes back there, not a whole lot either which way, and there's behind the belt a hidden swivel there. I can't remember because I don't have my old collection. I don't know how many times I have to say it. I feel like I have to say it in every video, but I don't have the old collection, so I can't remember. But this design is just begging for a ball joint up here, man. Like, this keeps the red in line. It's not breaking it up. It's kind of right there, but not really. So it works there, but I just feel like give us the ball joint right here so he can hinge up here and then move this hinge down here, because I also am not a fan of waist swivels because that just looks, you know, I don't know. I'll always say it only makes sense for like one turn. Other than that, it looks like he's been horribly disfigured. But yeah, and then ball coming out the hip can go back very minimal, can go forward past 90. And get the boot of justice, dude. And it can go out side to side there, which is that 90? No, it's not quite 90. And then there's an upper thigh cut, double jointed pinless knee, not an elbow. About there, which is decent with that giant boot cuff and his thunder thighs. Is there a boot swivel? Yes, there is. And then it comes down to forward facing pin for rocker, can go back all the way basically. Forward. Yeah, it goes up a little bit. I've seen better. And then, like I said, the forward facing pin for a rocker. And that's the articulation of this guy. This guy is in the running for my favorite Captain America they've ever done. The other one includes a Secret Wars cap. Both have a very specific vibrant blue that I love. But with this one, you trade off all that scale armor detail for these butterfly joints that work phenomenally. Because I don't think the other one had butterfly joints. But the other one, if it doesn't have butterfly joints, you're getting that scale armor look. And the blue is different too, from what I remember. Both of those are so well done. I love both of these. The only other one that comes to mind, comic-wise, is Ultimate Cap, which I love that design, and Secret Empire Cap. And then, you know, shout out to Bucky Cap and Sam Wilson Cap too. But as far as like definitive Captain America goes, it's a tie between this guy and the Secret Wars one. These are beautiful. Yeah. So I guess let's go over this shield. It's painted on there nicely, super clean. I do feel like it's a bit on the small side, but whatever. But you probably already know what I'm going to say, and it's that damn C-clip system. Now, I can't remember off the top of my head, but while the size of the shield may vary, and even sometimes it's either tampoed on here or the design is sculpted on here, I think it doesn't matter. I think either which way, that C-clamp is the same size across the board. I could be wrong there, but it doesn't matter because that C-clamp sucks. We all know it gets stressed out. I'm afraid to ever take this. I was afraid to put the shield on, which, by the way, if you do take it off, this flips up and there's a peg. And if you wanted to, you can get it pegged in there and have it on his back, which is a cool look. But I feel like usually you're going to want a shield guy to have his shield. And also, usually, they come with a grip hand. So when that C-clip does break, like I said, you can either peg it in or use that peg in the grip hand, which is never a good grip. It's always awkward as hell, but it's kind of your last line of defense once that thing goes, because it just stresses the plastic. And like I said, I think it's a universal size, and I say universal because it is the same size across the board from what I can remember, but the size of wrists and stuff always differ. Like, that's a fairly tapered in wrist section there. But like, I'm thinking like something like MCU Taskmaster that has a huge gauntlet and sculpt work. You still gotta just cram it in there. I don't know. I think it's the worst they've ever given us in terms of ways to hold the shield. Now, some of the MCU caps will have an actual strap. It'll be a brown strap, a larger one, and then there'll be a smaller one, and that works fine. But I will say it kind of gets a little cumbersome and gets in the way of elbow articulation sometimes. I do prefer it over this, but that is what it is. Now, I thought about, like, what if they just give us a hand that ports into the arm like usual, but there's a shield sculpted in it so he can never drop it. And then I was like, well, wow, that sounds awesome. It's like, well, what if you want action poses, him throwing the shield? And then it's like, well, why not just pack in a separate shield? But then it's like, that's getting into raising costs and trading off accessories we'd usually get. That's a little wishful thinking. I think the best thing they could do, and I haven't seen them do this since, is, I don't know if you guys remember the first MCU Doctor Strange figure. It looked like garbage, but it came with a magic effect. Nowadays, they come with it sculpted onto the hand, which is similar to how I'm imagining this. But anyway, it comes sculpted onto the fingertips, so it looks normal from either which angle. But that original Doctor Strange came with the magic effect. It was basically a shield, because if you were to look behind it, it was a handle he held. It looked super goofy. But here's the shield, and here is the handle that comes out, and it dips down like an upside down L, and that's how they would hold it. I think that might be the better option. I think that is the way to go, and I haven't seen it done since that Doctor Strange release, which was years ago. But it just makes more sense. Like, instead of it C-clipping around and stressing that plastic, just have it come out, angle down into a grip. It's on there in the same orientation it would be here, but you're not risking, you know, breaking this thing, and he's still holding it at a somewhat natural angle. I think that's the best way to go. Just bring back that handle-esque kind of design there, because I don't ever want to take this off again, and I'm scared to move his arm in case it comes off, you know. So that's kind of my only complaint with this guy. Other than that, he moves awesome. The sculpt work is awesome. The paint apps is awesome. It's just awesome. Now, when it comes to customization of this guy, you're not going to believe this. This was just such a long process. So much work went into this. I went over the already silver belt buckle with another silver. I know, insanity. How, like, the audacity of me to even try such a monolithic job. But that's Captain America. And then we're going to get to Venom, which, by the way, since they're here, here's the height difference. Venom's not a Hulk or anything, but he is bigger. He's thicker. That's kind of looks like he is really feeling Cap there. Anyway, here he is. So in my previous attempts at this video, I waited to the end to go over this. I'm just going to go over it now. Right here, on either side, if I were to use this hinge right here, you can see it splitting. And it's even worse on this side. Get his hand out. See that? I don't understand what's doing it. I feel like it's just weak factory glue, but I'm not sure. I don't see anything snagging, but I'm scared to move this guy. I essentially can't use this articulation point, which is lame. And with every bend, this crevice gets more and more split down the middle. And as you can see here, there's not a whole lot of real estate left for it to do that, because once that goes on either side, the last line of defense is this tiny seam on the crotch piece there. So that's super lame. And it sounds like this is a common problem with this specific figure. So if you're having this problem with this guy, I'm sorry. I don't know. I feel like trying to get super glue in there at this point would just be a mess. I feel like maybe the best option here is to maybe just wait till it pops off, because at the rate it's going, it's popping off in a very organic, natural fashion. You know, almost in the perfect way you'd want to crack a figure if you were doing customs. Something I did a lot of customs, but I could never crack a figure perfectly down the seam like that. But if it does crack perfectly down the middle, I would assume it would be much easier to lay down the glue foundation first on your own, as opposed to trying to get it in there right now and gunking up the actual articulation. So I don't know. I'm not going to move them around that much to figure it out. So that's out of the way there. Paint apps. It's fine. There's not a whole lot of paint on this figure. It's molded in this blue. There is paint on the back of the hands there, which is painted nicely. The teeth are painted. The jaw is a separate piece, the lower jaw. And I feel like the teeth on the bottom row aren't painted as nice as the ones on the top. But the red and the green really just set off the blue and the white. So looks super nice. This guy isn't going to get any added paint from me, except tiny thing that no one's ever going to notice but me. I might do a darker red in the middle of the tongue seam line there. But the green coming out, I just love this color combination. The eyes are sculpted in and painted, so that's nice. And then the only other paint left is the spider, which takes up a lot of real estate, but that's just how it is. It's painted fine, this main section here. And on the back, that seems a little cramped to me. It's not super jarring or anything, but I feel like I've seen a back spider that wraps around the front like this. I feel like I've seen it at times go over the butterfly joint here. I feel like that's not unheard of, but you know, whatever. As a result, it is kind of cramped in there. It's not egregious though, but it is much thicker on the back, but also the butterfly joints going forward don't go in as deep. Now, I will say though, while these fine lines in between, like the fine, thin lines of white are fairly fine, I do see it get messy on the back there. But for the most part, it's on there perfectly. But I will say that on either side of the front spider here, there's a line that goes from here, zips up on either side here, where you can clearly see, I don't know if you can see it on camera, maybe easier on this side here. You see there, it very clearly, there's a cutoff point where anything below that line going that way definitely looks like it needed another extra layer of white. From far away, it's fine, but if you get super close, you can see there is a cutoff line where it just probably needed another line of paint. Super small nitpick, whatever. And then, like I said, the rest is in this blue. Not a whole lot of paint on here, but it, you know, it makes sense. It doesn't need it. So there's that. Let's see, I'm at the 24-minute mark now. Articulation. Head is on a disc hinge, and I also want to say that it doesn't ever feel like it's on here properly, but it is. Basically no tilt, can go all the way around, can look down a fair amount with such a long jaw. He still gets down there pretty good. Can look up, not a whole lot to about there. And it's one of those head sculpts where it feels like it'll go back more, but that head sculpt will sneakily pop off the peg on you. So there is a dumbbell joint at the mid-torso here. Can hinge very nicely. And then without hinging everything, it goes forward that much, goes backward that much, which isn't a whole lot, but it still opens up that area there. I would show you how it looks bending down with this bottom hinge too, but we already went over that. I'm not touching that. Butterfly joints, like I said, come into there, not a whole lot. Go in much further on the back, which is pretty cool for some leaping poses. Shoulder coming out here, goes all the way around, can go, that's basically 90. Upper bicep swivel, double jointed pinless arms, go to about there, which it's decent. I'm sure a lot of this is reused from an older Venom, especially the legs, because you see the legs are pinned. But these arms aren't the same as like the animated series. There's no sculpted symbiote veins. Like there's normal veins, but you know, you guys probably know what I'm talking about. There's nothing around the forearm there. And then hands swivel, hinge, bada bing, bada boom. There's that. And then his arms out of the way. He's got very long arms. Ball coming out to the hip, can go back a bit, can go forward. Oh, wow. So it goes forward 90, but if you want to keep going, it does kind of ride the curve of the crotch piece. So that's good. It does go out that way. Upper thigh cut, which, oh my God, is super, super tight. And I'm not even going to try because I feel like I'm going to stress this crotch piece. Double jointed pinned legs. I'm scared to bend this guy at all, man. This is super lame. Can go to there, which is decent for as big as his thighs are. Forward facing pin for rocker into the duck feet. Nice wrinkles there. But like I said, it does rock a lot. And it does go back a whole lot. And it goes forward a decent amount. Again, with separate plastic here and there being used, you can see that, well, I don't know if you can see it on the camera. It's always different in actual lighting, but the feet are slightly darker than the rest of the blue of the figure. So there's that. And I think I covered everything. Like I said, I'll probably touch up his tongue a little bit. So yeah, that's Venom. So here they are together again. Final thoughts. Would I recommend this? I'm torn because I do like this Venom. He's visually appealing to me. It looks like Venom. I do like a blue Venom every now and again. The problem is he looks like he would move well, which he does. But if this is that common of a problem with this section here, this should not be a problem. I don't understand. Like, I've never had this issue before. So that's super lame. And that's with me heating this up before I messed with it. So I do recommend it for the Captain America alone. This thing is awesome. Up there in the running for my definitive comic book Captain America. And this guy's cool too. I love him. I love how he looks. But I can't remember exactly how much this cost, but it is a 2-pack, so it is a little bit more on the pricey side. For that, I don't think you should be having this problem. So basically what I'm saying is I do recommend this, but only if you are aware that this is a common problem and to just be careful when you get him. And like I said, maybe the best option is to let that actually come off on its own and then go in with your own glue. Shouldn't have to do that. But, you know, Hasbro's going to Hasbro sometimes. So, yeah. So, as long as you're careful and you know the risk here, I would recommend this solely off your boy Steve over here. So, I was thinking about giving these a kind of a rating system instead of saying, yeah, I think you should get this. I'm going to do a little bit more. I got like a list here of things to go over to kind of keep this on track which will be better implemented once I start opening these up on camera. Also, I assume I'm rambling. Anyway, I'm going to flesh out a rating system for these guys, and then I will start implementing that into these videos to maybe give you a better than just, yeah, go get it. I think you should. You know what I mean? So that's my review. I'm not disappointed that I got this. It's just that is unfortunate on this guy. So I don't understand. It's how it's loose, yet when I go to actually move it, it's not loose. That's super strange. Guy needs lower back surgery or decompression of his lower back or something. Super strange. But yeah, I recommend it. Go get it. I've seen them on the shelf here and there. Go get it. Why not? Just be careful of that guy. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and let me know in the comments. What do you think about this? Is this your definitive Captain America? Are you having the same problem with this guy? Let me know. Let's have a conversation. And as always, thank you guys for clicking. It means a lot. I will see you on the next one. Peace.